You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast. And this is show number 449 for Sunday, the 2nd of April, 2023.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hello there, Jane.
Hello there, Michelle. Are you getting a little giddy as we record?
It's all timey-wimey, cosmic-y, changey, because technically, on release day, I will be a very giddy lady running around a theme park.
You will indeed. It's very weird to be sat here recording with you now, thinking in a few days' time that's where you'll be.
I know. It's just getting a little bit surreal. We had a 90-minute planning update and final decision chat yesterday where we went through the entire spreadsheet and booking reservations, theme park reservations, ADR reservations, travelling plans and this, that and the other. And I literally felt like I needed a lay down because I felt exhausted.
Well, I was going to use the term military operation, which would be quite appropriate for you, really, wouldn't it?
Well, it's really interesting because I was trying to describe to some friends today at work. We have someone who was on the call, it was just about breakfast time. Someone, it was early afternoon, and me, it was like early evening. And it's just so bizarre that the three of us are from different countries and different time zones. And us UK people obviously had to mess it up because our clocks got altered by an hour.
Yeah.
Because of daylight savings.
I was just about to say, not only are you having to communicate with people from around the world, navigate your way through goodness knows how many Excel spreadsheets, but you've also got to contend with our version of daylight savings.
I know. The head yesterday was throbbing and my mind was kapooted. But anyway, we have got a lot coming up on this week's show. As Jane was alluding to, I literally fly out to Florida on the 1st of April, and Jane will be making her way down to Celebration. On what date do you depart, Janie?
We go down on the 6th of April.
Okay.
So a few days after you.
Yeah, it's a few days. I'm just picking up my two-sided A3 small map that tells me what I'll be doing on that day. Oh, Jane.
Oh, go on.
Shall we go to Kona Cafe together?
Oh, I would do, because the 6th is my travelling day. Yeah. So I'll be sat in the car or trying to find a place along between here and London that I can recharge my car now that I drive an electric. So that'll be fun. Yeah. I think I'd rather be in Kona Cafe with you, love.
Oh, bless you. More about the plans at a later date. But we have got a podcast and I have got some news.
Oh, crack on then, love.
And I thought today's little bit of news was quite apt because it's a very special day on the 2nd of April, 1513.
Okay.
And do you have any idea why?
No.
Well, this really gets me sort of thinking a little bit. Hang on a minute, this is weird. Because on this actual day in 1513, Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon discovered Florida. I don't know how you can discover Florida. It's like, oh, hello, it's Florida. Hello, nice to meet you, Florida.
It probably wasn't called Florida then, was it?
Well, probably not. He was on a discovery mission looking for gold and the mythical Fountain of Youth.
I wonder if he found it.
Well, I don't think he found the Fountain of Youth because he didn't live much longer, so...
Well, you never know. It might still be there for you to find, Michelle.
Well, we shall see. If it happens to be somewhere in a Walt Disney World theme park, I'm sure I'll find it. But it's just quite bizarre to say that he found Florida in 1513 because the first people arrived in Florida about 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, maybe he just found it down the back of the sofa.
Yeah. So it's more technical to sort of say it's sort of a Spanish explorer came to a new land and basically, arrived.
Took it over?
Basically.
Yeah.
Laid
claim to it, I suppose, would be the technical term, wouldn't it?
True. But I have some very interesting facts about Florida I never knew.
Oh, go on, then.
Not being a Floridian or an American.
No.
Florida became the 27th state in the United States on March the 3rd, 1845.
Okay.
And Florida's economic bubble burst in 1926 when money and credit ran out and banks and investors abruptly stopped trusting the paper millionaires. I thought that was quite interesting information.
Stuff that I didn't know about Florida, because unfortunately my knowledge of Florida, and I apologise for this, revolves around theme parks.
Yeah, and I know I keep saying this to myself, there's so many other amazing places in Florida that I really want to go and explore. And I think I really do need a road trip down the east coast of America, because I have been very fortunate to do sort of Sacramento area through the west side of the coast all the way down to Anaheim, going through Yosemite. So it'd be really nice to do it on the other side.
Yeah, flying to New York and then travel the way down.
Oh no, I can't fly into New York, love.
Why not?
I've tried and I keep getting my flight cancelled. So no, we don't talk about. It's
okay.
They say they don't talk about Bruno. Michelle doesn't talk about New York.
Well, into Philadelphia then.
Yeah, I like Philadelphia. I've been there a couple of times.
There you go. Into Philadelphia, grab a car and drive down.
Yeah.
Road trip, Michelle.
Girls trip. Whoop whoop.
Girls trip, yeah.
Okay, 1930, Clarabelle Cow first appeared in the Mickey Mouse comic strip.
Oh.
Clarabelle Cow is a fictional character created in 1927 at Walt Disney Pictures, and she appeared unnamed in Trolley Troubles in 1927, The Hungry Hobos in 1928, where she was named Bessie, and then in 1929, her first appearance in a feature was The Ploughboy as Clarabelle in 1929.
I think it's funny how these original characters can start off with one name and then they kind of morph into the names that we become more familiar with.
Yeah. And Clarabelle is one of Minnie Mouse's besties. Never knew that.
Of course.
She's depicted as the girlfriend of Horace Horsecollar, although she has previously been paired with Goofy, so this lady's a bit of a dabbler.
Oh.
I also have a birthday for actor Roddy Maud Roxby.
Okay.
You'll know it if I say the film he was a voice character for.
Go on.
Aristocats.
Oh, okay.
He is an Englishman from London, England, and he famously voiced Edgar Balthazar, Madame Bonfamille's slightly comic butler in the 1970s Aristocats.
Yeah, so I can actually picture him now, actually, the typical British voice.
Yes. 93 years old on his birthday and has a distinguished CV from studying, way back when, with David Hockney to being one of the first UK performance artists. And he's been on shows such as The Goodies in the UK, which we loved, and Rowan and Martin's Laughing.
Oh.
Nice little link there. So, Jane, that
Yes,
is
Michelle.
it for history.
Okay, we've all learnt something. That's a bonus of this show, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to think that. So, on the 31st of March, 2023, something ends.
Would that be the 50th celebrations?
It would be the 50th celebration has come to an end.
Oh.
Sad times. So I just thought it'd be really interesting to start thinking about some of the things that we gained in the last 18 months and what we thought to the 50th celebration, which I am just going to outcast now and say it was the celebration of cupcake, because that's all I can really think about.
It's food.
Well, when you go down the list and think about the things that we definitely got in the 18 months and then the things that sort of didn't happen in that time period, and you've got to bear in mind that, you know, we had COVID come along and it was used as a rationale and an explanation of why certain things didn't happen. We got Remy.
Okay, yeah. I think the thing is there's quite a lot of things that we thought we were going to get or that were in the offering and then ended up being part of the 50th.
Yeah. I do like the fact that and I know you've not been to the park since it was being introduced, but the whole walk around up to the attraction and then walking around there, you've got the eatery, which is all about the crepe.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got somewhere where you can get a quick serve or you can get a table serve. I personally think for $35-ish, a couple of crepes and a bit of salad for me is not value because it's just carb overload for me.
Yeah, not very filling either, to be fair.
No. And I know that, everyone I've spoken to has said that the food is absolutely divine. It's really good. But for a price point for me, I know how much money it takes to pay to make a crepe, and it ain't a lot of money.
Yeah, they're not exactly oozing with the ingredients, are they, really?
And if you link it into Lent, it is one of the things that people traditionally would use up in the household would be the eggs to make pancakes, because that's why we link in Day and Ash Wednesday and Pancake Day, because you're using up all your good stuff during the period of fasting up to Easter.
Yeah, use your up stuff. Exactly.
Yeah. So basically it's a leftovers restaurant, really.
I'm sure Disney don't see it quite as that.
No, I'm sure they're laughing all the way to the cash till.
Is the theming around there, Michelle, as good as the theming in Disneyland Paris?
It's more of you sort of walk up down the side of the other side of all the backs of the buildings for the France Pavilion, and you sort of turn around and you do have the beautiful marquee on the front of the attraction, which you can see from a distance, and it is really impressive. It is just as impressive as it is in Paris. You have the beautiful fountain that's there. It just doesn't feel as open and as spacious as Paris, because it's like a long corridor, whereas Paris it's more like a courtyard with entrance and exit from two different points.
Yeah, more like a little town square, isn't it?
Yeah, whereas there's only one way in and one way out.
But worth doing, though.
Yeah, and there's some nice seating where you can go and sit in the shade because there's some beautiful tall trees and you're looking out over the waterway and the skyliner. So it is a pretty part of the park, but it is sort of like a dead-end corridor. You go do the attraction and then you come out.
Come back out again, yeah.
I do think Disney's missed a trick. They do have some carts there that sell the merch. They should really have a shop like they do have in Paris, because there's so much merch that they could sell to go with that attraction.
Definitely, yeah. Well, they do it so well in Paris, so yeah.
Another thing that we got in the last 18 months? The Star Cruiser.
Yeah, okay.
Now, as our resident Star Wars fan, you're not enthusiastic at all about it.
Not particularly, no. I think the price point, personally, is way too high for what they're asking, or giving you, I should say.
All right.
It's a difficult one, because we've talked about this before, Michelle, haven't we? And saying you've got to want to go in and be completely immersed in an environment where you're in a story for 2.5 days or whatever it is. And it depends, I think, whether that's something that would float your boat or not. Personally, it's kind of playing into the sequel era of Star Wars, and I think they would have been better placing it more in the original era. And I think probably the same with Galaxy's Edge, if I'm being truthful. I think that would have drawn a lot more people in, because everybody knows Han and Luke and Leia and Darth Vader. I think playing to either the prequels or the sequels, you're not quite going to grab everybody. And I know a lot of the hardcore, and I mean hardcore Star Wars fans, are not overly enamoured with the cruiser. So it's a difficult one. I say it's a big price point to pay. You could go to a deluxe resort for a lot of nights for the money they're asking for 2 nights.
Well, if I had £5,000 to put down on a 2-night break, would I go for one of those little Polynesian bungalows on the water's edge, or would I go for 2 nights in the Star Cruiser? I know where my money's going, because I'm quite an inhibited person, and I know it sounds really weird because on the podcast I'm bubbly, I'm outspoken, etc. But in real life, I am not the sort of person that could do that kind of interaction with people to get completely immersed in things, because it's just not me. But I imagine a lot of people absolutely do love it, you know, and have been and experienced it, and yeah.
No, absolutely. I think it is that thing of you've got to be able to compartmentalise, I suppose, and do that switch. And I'm a bit like you, Michelle. I know I do the role play, and you know, I'll be in Celebration in a week or so's time, and we'll be in our cosplay and everything there. But I think it's different again in the cruiser, and how they're expecting you to get involved and want to throw yourself into it. And I'm not quite sure if that's what I want to be doing on a vacation, you know.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it would be nice that Disney could sort of maybe think about the feedback they're getting and the rationale that people are giving to them of why they're not booking, and maybe revisit it and make it something that could achieve, because I can imagine it could be rethemed quite reasonably, and I do believe that some of the food etc on board and the styling of the rooms are all very beautiful. So we shall see, because it's going to have to happen, because they're giving things, you know, big discounts at the moment, so we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, say the big discounts are not getting the bookings that I thought they were going to get. I think it's not got the repeat ness about it. People aren't wanting to go back again and do the same thing on repeat. Perhaps they could turn it into a half day experience, or a dining experience, or, you know, other options to look at potentially.
Yeah. Well, the next one is unfortunately something you have not had the experience of. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah. You love this.
Jane, love is not the word to describe it. It is everything I loved about Crush's Coaster ramped up to 150, and it's just tongue-in-cheek, it's fun. I know a lot of people don't like the spinny element of it and say, oh, I'm one and done. I could literally ride that attraction all day, and I think it'd be like one of those, and I'm not going to mention the name of the show, but you'd write into a particular show and say, can I eat my dinner on a particular roller coaster? I'd quite happily do that, because I don't think I'd vom.
Do you not?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
There were a few days that I did do it twice back to back, and I was fine. Yeah. Obviously, it's still got this stupid, virtual queue system malarkey, which we hoped with the Tron coming online, it might have been dropped, but it hasn't as yet. So
yeah. I'm surprised about that, because I know that the standby line, is up and running, and and I was thinking the same as you. And I think there's quite a lot of YouTube vloggers and bloggers out there that kind of were suspecting that once Tron kicked in, that would go away. So who knows?
So I absolutely adore it. It's a really fun attraction, and it's in a nice part of the park where it's got a really big set piece outside where you can have your photograph taken. Love it, love it, love it. The only thing that could have made it a little bit sort of more amazing is, like they've done with Tron, which we'll talk about later, have like a little food part, because there's a few little things in the ride, and I'm not going to discuss it, but that could link to some snack treats that you could get.
Yeah.
Next thing that happened, oh my word, early theme park entry, allowing on-site resort guests and those staying at select third-party hotels to enjoy a 30-minute extra entrance time prior to those off-site.
Oh, okay, I didn't realise that would come in.
Yeah, and it's, if you going back on onks ago, Jane, the plus point of staying on in a Disney resort was to get perks like this.
Absolutely.
And they've done it for the end of the evening, but this is only for deluxe resorts, deluxe villas, DVC deluxe villas, or select hotels, and that's at the end of the evening. And I don't feel happy with that. I think it should be available for all theme park guests, because you're paying an extra premium to be in a Disney hotel. You should be getting that extra.
Well, that was always the perk, wasn't it? Like you said, Michelle, that it would vary from day to day, wouldn't it? There'd be certain parks on certain days. You'd get either the early entry or the extra magic hours at the end of the day. And it was up to you then whether you chose to take advantage of it or not. But just nice to actually have that option available to all resort
Yeah.
guests, not just a select amount.
Now, not so long ago, they introduced parking fees, and they slowly were getting higher and higher, all scrapped for hotel guests. Whoop,
Good.
whoop.
Good.
And I don't think that was really meant to be a 50th celebration, but it happened in that time, so I included it.
Yeah.
The most controversial, even more so than the Star Cruiser, Genie Plus.
Oh. Now, was this just technically a 50th, or was it just a result of everything that had gone off in the world?
Well, they removed the paper fast passes, which so many people loved for so many different reasons. Like, you'd get your paper fast pass, and it was great because if you knew you weren't going to be able to use it, you could be pixie dust to other people, and they could have an attraction ride, which was great. And then it morphed into being able to book your theme park reservation for the attractions, so you could slot them in, and at least you'd know not to mix it up with your lunch times. And then they brought in Genie Plus, which was going to be X amount a day, and in the UK we were able to buy it in block to go with our block amounts, which was a little bit less money, and I used that last year. And then now they scrapped that, and now you buy it on the day from midnight.
Yeah, and depending on when you're visiting, depends on how much you're going to pay.
And I have not booked it for this trip. I don't intend to. I don't care if it's spring break. I'm not going. I just can't afford $20-$25 a day. It just is not doable.
No, and I think we've hit some $29 and $30, haven't we, just recently when the crowds have been really, full on. So, no, I mean, if you're solo, it's not, you can argue it's maybe not too bad, but, I always just kind of have to think that the vast majority of our visits to Disney have been as a family of four, and if you've got 2 adults and 2 kids, it's not a cheap affair, is it?
No.
On top of what you've already paid.
And then there are some attractions that have the individual lightning lanes, and again, prices fluctuate on the day. So if you want to pay to avoid a queue or whatever, there's that.
I think that the trickiness with it all as well is I remember seeing something quite recently on YouTube where a party had decided to pay for the lightning lane. I think it was for Rise, the Resistance, and as it was, they had a time slot, late afternoon, early evening, and the wait time when they actually got to the ride and standby was like 45 minutes. Yeah. So they paid out, I think it was $25 each for the lightning lane, and at the time they had got their booking, the standby was, I think what we would all consider to be a very doable standby line.
Yeah. And there are ways around these big hitters to get in there just before theme park closing time, because then you're waiting in Disney's time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mickey's Magical Friendship Fair's 50th anniversary stage show.
Okay, did you see that?
No.
No, okay.
I'm not a stage show fan. I heard it going off, blah, blah, blah. Not for me.
No.
We had the Disney Adventure Friends cavalcades.
Right, lots of cavalcades, yeah.
I just think this was more as a coming back from COVID, people being socially distant, rather than anything that was for the 50th. But then we got the full Festival of Fantasy parade. Lovely to see a daytime parade, but we know what was missing for this 50th. We should have got a nighttime parade back.
Yeah, that would have been amazing, wouldn't it? And there were so many versions they could have done as well.
We had Mickey's Celebration Cavalcade, which again happened several times throughout the day with Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, Pluto, Chip and Dale, Iridescent Fashion, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Disney Enchantment, the 50th anniversary fireworks show.
Yeah, so you did see this one, didn't you, Shell?
I did. It was okay.
I'm going to say, what was your review?
It was no wishes, but it was okay.
Okay.
Over at Epcot, they had Harmonious.
With those lovely barges.
And they will be going away at the beginning of April as well.
Yay.
And over at Disney's Animal Kingdom, RIP, because Kite Tales went away.
Yeah, it didn't last very long, that, did it?
No.
Mm.
We had the opening of Space 220 Restaurant and Lounge.
Oh, yes, and you've got ADR for that, haven't you, this time around?
Oh, my word. I'm so excited to be able to go to the lounge, Jane. Very excited. I've already decided what I'm ordering. It's all sorted. And I'm going to see if I can wangle a dessert somehow. We shall see.
If I know you, Michelle, if you want it to happen, it'll happen, love.
Yeah. California Grill did a 50th set price dinner for $89. Did you know about that one?
I didn't know about that one, actually.
Oh, Janie, you see, I have everything. Do you want to know a little bit about it?
Go on, then.
So you had a choice of market inspiration. So obviously, California Grill, synonymous for its sushi. There was a sushi starter. You can't say that very quickly. A lobster and parsnip bisque. And then there was a little house-made artisanal style duck à l'orange pizza, an heirloom apple salad, and a braised beef short rib wontons.
Ooh.
Then you had the main course, and you had sort of some really classic dishes. You had a fillet of beef, you had a pork chop, you had chicken, you had fish, you had a pasta dish with seafood. Very, very nice. There was a squash and mushroom ravioli. And then for desserts, you had a choice of 5 magical bites, 50 years in the making. And there was a bite of honey, lemon, carrot, strawberry and chocolate. Then, you know, the whole anniversary was all about iridescent. Well, you could have had an iridescent Grand Marnier souffle.
Okay.
A Valrhona chocolate tart, which they are absolutely really well known for their chocolate work. Lavender sugar donuts. It had a blueberry gin jam. That's another one of those words you can't say very quickly, isn't it, Jane?
No, definitely. I'm not even going to try.
And then you had a chef's selection of California cheeses.
Okay.
So that worked out at $89 plus tax plus tip. Yeah.
Pretty penny.
Pretty penny. There were icons of the 4 Walt Disney World theme parks, and they sort of turned into beacons of magic.
Yeah, I wonder if they're staying.
Well, I believe they are, but I tell you what's already even started to go, as of recording, the Fab 50th statues.
That was going to be my next question, actually, because that's very, very much, what came along with the 50th. And I didn't know they would be kind of just staying because they've got the Magic Band plus interaction elements with them. So I don't know. So they're going.
Some have actually gone, Jane. And
wow.
It makes me quite curious now. For your Magic Band, you've got the interaction with the Firework Evening Spectacular. Well, what else are you going to get?
Yeah, you've got the Bounty Hunter game, haven't you, over Galaxy's Edge, and that'll be it, won't it?
Yeah, this tight Yorkshire lady is not buying a Magic Band for her trip.
Well, no, I think this is the thing, isn't it? It's they've got to be something else on there to entice you to buy it nowadays.
So that's what made it.
Right.
We didn't get the Play Pavilion.
No.
We didn't get Tron.
Well, no, sort of, but not.
Official opening, Jane, is the 4th of April.
True, even though we've got a soft opening now, haven't we? Yeah, very, very true.
We haven't got DuckTales World Showcase Adventure.
Oh, that's not running yet.
And Moana's Journey of Water.
Yeah. And weren't we supposed to be having a Spaceship Earth revamp as well at some point?
That got cancelled.
Yeah. And the Mary Poppins ride?
That got cancelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all sorts of things happened and didn't happen. But one thing for sure is I'd like to see now what's going to be brought forward for the 100th, to see whether it's just more than some merch and cupcakes. I want to see some concrete plans in the wake of taking us through to the next 100 years. We want...
Yeah, well, obviously the kind of, I've got a lot of the merch and all the decorations, etc. over at Disneyland, and it sounds to me like the 100th stuff isn't really kicking off until October in Disney World.
Yeah, a lot of it started in Disneyland, so because I'm going to be there in August, it'll be nice to catch it.
But again, is it just a few decorations and, like you say, merch and foodie treats, but nothing actually like to mark the celebration by?
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, my lovelies, that is about it for this week's podcast. We do have a show out for you next week where I chat through with a fellow podcaster of the name, Stan Solo. You'll recognise him from his own show. And he's talking about his amazing trip planning that he has put together, where he is going to go to Disneyland Paris. He is going to Paris. Then he's going to Star Wars Celebration and he's going to hunt down Jane. And then he's having some time in London.
Nice little trip.
To find out all his plans and all the exciting things he is going to try and find out about, you have to listen to next week's show, 450. We won't have a show out for the following week because it'll be literally the day I land back, the 16th of April. But we will do our best to start filtering through some trip reports from both myself and from Jane. We will try and put some bits and pieces out on Patreon as well as on our Instagram page. So look for us on Insta and Twitter at DisDreamGirls. Our Patreon page is patreon.com/Disney Dream Girls. There will be some exclusive things coming up for our supporters to say a big thank you for their support. But until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.